to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. The phrase a well-oiled machine almost seems like an understatement when I think about my guests today, Joann Kandrac and Kelly Kole of Kandrac and Kole Interior Design. I was really fortunate to be seated next to Joann and Kelly at a dinner in Napa Valley put on by Veronica Miller of Design Hounds with Signature Kitchen Suite, and we hit it off right away. Joann and Kelly are absolutely 100% in sync. They play off each other perfectly, and they complement each other in every way. The result is not just an amazing friendship, the kind that you can see from a mile away, but truly a solid business partnership that allows them to serve their clients with the very best versions of themselves. Before I tell you more about their firm, I want to take a minute to thank our show sponsor, My Doma Studio. My Doma Studio is bringing back the Black Friday deal that you don't want to miss out on. From November 26th all the way to the 30th, you can get 25% off your annual subscription of My Doma Studio. This works out to be 4 full months free. There's no sale bigger than this throughout the entire year. So head over to mydomastudio.com/Black Friday to get this steal of a deal. Now, Kandrac and Kole has been featured on HGTV as well as in publications including the New York Times, Atlanta Homes and Lifestyles, Better Homes and Gardens, and Southern Home Magazine. They were also participants of the One Room Challenge in the spring of this past year. Recognized and valued industry experts, Joann Kandrac and Kelly Kole share upbeat and entertaining narratives regarding their design projects, travels, and personal stories on their blog, also on their podcast, Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole, and through national speaking engagements. Today, Joann and Kelly are going to share a little bit of that secret sauce that has lent to their success by giving us some insight into their onboarding process for clients. They have created a terrific process that even if you are a seasoned designer, I'm pretty sure you're going to appreciate. Let's hear what they have to say about that intake process. Hi, Joann. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business.
Hey, LuAnn. This is Joann. Thanks so much for having us on. We're very excited to be talking to you.
Hi, it's Kelly.
Ladies, all I'm sorry to say is, as fun as this is going to be, I'm sorry that we're not sitting at a table with Napa Valley wine in front of us and Cheryl Clennington on one side and who else on the other side, right? Shannon, Jemmy, who else was with us? We had such a great time in Napa, didn't we?
We did. And that's exactly what I was thinking as we were sitting down. I'm thinking, well, it's late in the day today. Where's our alcohol? Come on.
Those were the days.
Oh, my goodness. That was such a magnificent trip with, Veronica Miller from Design Hounds organized with SKS Signature Kitchen Suite. And that was, of course, I had listened to your podcast. I knew exactly who you were. We had met each other briefly, little events around the country. But that night we were sat at the same table for dinner and we had just had such a fun time, all of us, right?
And then you asked us the big question, what's your why?
And we thought, oh God, why did we get put with her? And then it ended up to be fantastic.
Oh, They probably thought, oh, they're all podcasters. Let's put them together, right? No, it was good for me because on that trip, you know how it is. You sort of, you find somebody and you sort of hang with them a little, right? And I had found myself a lot with Ariane Belazar, who I adore and love, and we had such a great time. And I know, left to my druthers, I probably would have said, hey, where are we going to sit? And it was fun for me to be with you guys because I really had not really had a nice chance to sit and talk with you and ask you what was your why.
Yes.
Well, and it was great because we happened to have been sitting together that night. I think we had place cards, right? We sat where
Yeah.
we were told to sit. But
Yes.
when Joann and I go to conferences, we force ourselves to split up at dinner time
So
so that we
smart.
can meet new people and get out of our comfort zone.
Oh,
So,
that's so
yeah.
smart of you
So
guys.
Yeah.
it did work out that night though that we got to be with you and Cheryl and,
Mm.
laugh
Yeah.
and laugh.
Yeah. Well, Cheryl's always good to make sure that we're having a good time. Let's be serious. Shannon too.
Mhm.
Okay. So today though we're going to talk business. You two ladies do have your own podcast, as I mentioned in the introduction, and of course you also have your interior design firm. And I know that from talking with you and asking you what your why is, that there's a lot of goodness and a lot of experience, not only together, the two of you, individually. And today we've sort of settled on the intake process and maybe pulling it apart a little bit more than we might have been able to in the past. And so we're going to take it from hello. Somebody comes into your firm, whether that's through an email, that's through a telephone call, and you are now going to start that engagement process. And I'm curious, how do you guys do it at your firm?
Well, this is Joann. Generally, well, always, whether it be a phone call that comes into the office, whether it be an email, somebody comes through house, it all goes into our info email. And Amy, who is our office manager, she is the one who qualifies people. And she is so amazing. She has such a rapport with people. And it's really funny when we generally get to the first consultation, people will say, oh my God, I so enjoyed talking to Amy. She makes them feel very comfortable. She will find out that she went to school with their second cousin. She has that rapport with them, and generally is on the phone with them for quite a while. And basically they're scheduling that appointment after they speak with her. So she asks all the right questions. She has a form that she really doesn't need anymore that is asking, have you worked with a designer before? Um, do you know what budget? Like, she asks all the right questions to really extrapolate that information from the person.
And so the thing is, interestingly, I have heard of many firms that do successfully have somebody do that qualifying phone call, and other firms that feel like they can't let that go. How could someone else do that? And my thought on that, and I would love to know yours, is if you have an intake form that's thorough and then you combine it with a warm person like Amy, then that makes it more likely that it can be successfully handled by someone other than yourselves as the principals. Do you agree? Is that the secret sauce, I guess, is what I'm asking in there?
This is Kelly. I agree with that, but she has also that very innate, warm and fuzzy, I could talk to you for hours personality, and she knows our business so well and she knows the talk that she can do it better than say Lisa in our office, who's still fantastic, but she just gets a little bit more uncomfortable and she doesn't.
She could do it better than us. I
Yeah,
think she's better than me.
well, because I don't want to spend an hour on the phone with somebody. I mean, I
There's
do,
that.
but I can't. And
Right.
she just, it's like her, it's her love. She loves doing that. And the form that we have is really just a formality. I came from a work life in property management, and I started right out of college as a leasing consultant. And we had a telephone form when, prospective residents would call in asking about the community and what the rents are and so forth. And we were shopped all the time. And so blind shopped. So, and then we had contests and awards for how well you did on your phone intake call. So if you didn't, if you missed the question of how did you hear about us, or you missed getting the full address, phone number, email, best number to contact, and what time of day, or you missed learning about that person's needs, do you want to be on the third floor? Do you want to face the back? What's your budget? What kind of rent are you looking for? And all those questions, then you kind of got in trouble. So we kind of designed our own form just to keep the flow of conversation going, but also to make sure we get that crucial information. And a lot of times, Amy, she can take it all the way to the appointment, or sometimes if she's unsure, she'll say, well, let me get with the girls and I will call you right back and check on their schedule, which she really doesn't need to check on our schedule, but it's a way for her to check with us and go, this person, I have a few red flags, or I don't think they can be full service. Their budget just isn't big enough. They might be designed for a day, because she knows our different services, and then we'll talk it out.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's funny, Kelly, is my daughter, her first job out of college was at a property management company just like that. And she used to do the lease ups and all of that stuff. And I remember her also describing how they got secret shopped all the time. And,
it's amazing sales training. I mean, I'm so glad I did that.
It keeps you on your toes. And even just asking the question, how did you hear about us? That's such crucial information. And you don't want to walk in and meet the person and go, so how'd you hear about it? We should already know that. Or we can, if it was a referral, we can say, oh, so yeah, we worked with the Smiths back in the whatever. It opens the door for more conversation.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing in it, the keys are that, yes, like your training in property development, that property management, that you have to have the list of questions. So, how did you hear about us? Have you worked with a designer before? We've had a lot of the designers over the years talk about these sorts of questions, and you figure out for you and your firm what's important, what you want to know. But you're saying you have to add to that a person who has a warm, engaging personality, because someone with just a list of questions, but that isn't that warm, engaging personality, is going to sound like an interrogation instead of an organic conversation. And then you also mentioned that you add to it that Amy really knows your business very well. So maybe you give that person, if you're thinking about having another person start to take these calls for you because you are growing and you're getting busy, you give them really enough time to train and really understand your firm, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They would have to.
They're really the frontline person. Anytime if I'm talking to somebody in customer service, I almost know the kind of experience I'm going to have in the first couple of minutes by the tone of their voice.
Oh, they're on a script and they can't answer anything for you.
And I remember when we first started our podcast, our producer saying to us, smile when you're speaking. Yes. You can tell when a person is smiling. Exactly. So I think those little things go a long way.
It's so true. And just as like an inside tip here, it's not tip, but behind the curtain, I sometimes will do the retakes on my recording of the intro, outro. I'm like, you weren't smiling. I didn't hear any smile. Oh, I have to actually physically smile while I'm doing this.
Absolutely.
So it's so true. It is 100% true. And so I love that. So there's some criteria there for having somebody, take this first initial step of the intake phone call. And then also there is probably a skill set and a learning curve for that person to understand. And really, in addition to the questions, is, Amy is assimilating the answers that she's receiving and processing it and deciding yes, no, or yes, no, maybe, and then bringing you guys the result. Like, here's what I heard, here's what I think, maybe you have to give the final yes or no to making the appointment or not.
Correct. And sometimes she gets so excited about the personal rapport that she has with the person that she's so excited for us to go and see them and whatever. But we'll say to her, but what exactly do they need? I know you love them and you're so excited about them, but what exactly is it just a room? Are you so excited because it's a whole house? Because I know you love them, but should we even be taking this client, what's the bottom line here?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
sometimes we have to
Rein her in a little bit.
yeah,
But she'll
pull
be
her
like,
from the clouds.
please call me after the consult. Let me know how they were.
Aw.
Yeah. She takes it very seriously.
Well, you know what? That's so awesome for the two of you to have someone who is so passionately invested into your business. That's great. And that speaks to your leadership. So that's outstanding.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So now we get past the Amy test and your test, right? And you make Amy will set up a consultation appointment for a client. And are you guys charging for your consultations?
Oh, yes.
Y-
Yes. In the city of Atlanta, we could be driving, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and our
Or more.
our consultations are an hour and a half to 2 hours. So if we didn't charge for them, we'd be all over the city just.
And we charge
yeah.
$500.
Okay. And you both go?
Yep.
Okay.
We do.
Okay, so consults are an hour and a half to 2 hours. You charge $500. You both go. And one of the things that I've learned is that there are different ways to approach the consultation. So when you go to the consultation, are the two of you, if people are asking for advice right on the spot, should I move this lamp? Should I change this carpet? Should I do that? Is that how you run yours, or is yours fact finding, information gathering, and how do you generally handle that?
Both. We consider it a very working consultation. We do not walk in, we've done enough qualifying on the front end that we do not walk in treating it as a meet and greet. We walk in with the approach that we are now working together. You are going to hire us to move forward. We are going to work on this project together. And so we are going to create a great rapport. We're going to measure and take photographs, which we'll get to. But if you have some questions or you want to brainstorm, we'll talk about that. But we're there for full service for these consultations. So there's not a whole lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to focus them and prioritize them sometimes. So if if they say, well, what do you think about this? But it doesn't really get so nitty gritty as to what should I do with this lamp, because that's our job when we are working on the project.
It kind of starts out like this. We walk in, we introduce ourselves, we say, okay, well, go ahead and give us a tour. So we let them do a lot of talking right then, and we'll say, just show us what you're interested in, what you like, what you don't like, and they kind of lead us through the house. And then that's when we're kind of taking notes and letting them talk. And then it kind of gets into and as we get into a room, they may say, I really don't like this chair, but it was my grandmother's. And then that might just us saying, well, we could put some cool fabric on it. We can do this. It kind of just becomes a natural sort of conversation as we're going through.
Okay. So you're not concerned about keeping your ideas and your information close to the vest. You're at this point, we're doing this. We're here for the hour and a half. We're reimbursed. Of course, your time is worth more than $500 for the two of you. I know it's sort of a little bit of a investment in them too, of your time, but you're just taking it like this is happening.
Absolutely. And we create a lot of value for ourselves by having those conversations and giving that input and coming up with ideas. We just had a couple that we visited in Atlanta, and she, of course, we're coming from the approach like this is our job, we're going to do this. But she, at the end of the consultation, she was like, I felt so great calling you guys after talking to Amy and stalking you guys on social media, whatever. But now I just feel even better because you have such great ideas and you're hearing me and you're right in line with me. So I'm really excited. So when we sent her that design proposal, with the $24,000 design fee on it, she was like, cool, because I already know the value that I've already seen them in action. I've already seen what these girls can come up with on the fly. So imagine what they can come up with when they sit down to really work on my project.
Yeah, it's just enough to get them very excited. Like, for example, their master bedroom had a ginormous closet. It was really, really big and long, and there was a lot of space, and she wasn't really quite sure how to handle it. So Kelly suggested, why don't you put a washer and dryer up in this thing? And all of a sudden, her eyes got huge. She was like, "Oh my God." Like already, like, okay, check.
That's
Then we go
it.
into the other area. Well, we could do a nice little area, kind of have a coffee station, whatever. Oh my gosh. She's like, how did I not think of that?
Right.
So it's just all of a sudden you can kind of tell, all right, we're getting her. We're getting her. She's
Yes.
digging this.
That's great. I love it. I love it. I can visualize that, her getting excited and feeling, like you said, heard. You heard the challenges and needs she had, and you were coming up with ideas and solutions that address it. And so she's feeling like $1,000,000. Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. It's not any skin off our nose to give that feedback. She can't do it on her own. That's why she called us.
Right.
So what do we have to lose?
Exactly, exactly. So, what are some of the things? Imagine we've got some young rising designers listening, and we're in a small room, and I've got the two of you, and I'm saying, okay, what does a designer who has not completed many consultations, what are the types of do you have a checklist of information, ideas, pictures that the two of you get in the car and you're saying, we've got what we needed? Like, we don't let the train just run away and it became a conversation and we get in the car and we're like, huh, you didn't measure the kitchen, neither did I. Like, how do you guys
Oh,
handle that?
oh no. We have every measurement. We take every measurement. So many times if we're just doing furnishings, we don't even go back to that house until we install
Whoa.
because we've
We never
taken,
do,
yeah,
unless it's new construction or renovation
yeah.
where we have to check on things.
It's so
Whoa.
inefficient. Why would we go back? We're there for
Atlanta's a
that
big
hour.
town.
Yeah. And we measure everything. We take all the photos. So we don't have another reason to go back. We are very efficient in that couple hours.
But the way that we generally tackle it is after they give us the little tour and we talk about the spaces. If they've got a massive house, don't show us the whole thing. Show us what we're working on. But we want to see kind of a little bit more of your house to get the idea of what you like and what you gravitate towards and what your lifestyle is like. But once that little tour is over, then I'm the writer. My handwriting is much neater than Joann's. And so she is the master measurer. So I will draw each room. Even if they have floor plans, we still draw it and measure it ourselves because we like the way we do it. And we get lots of measurements that sometimes aren't on blueprints or whatever the real estate agent gave you. And so we will draw each room and all windows as well, not for final measurements. Our workroom will come do that, and we can talk about that later, but for at least for quoting purposes. And then we're taking all the measurements that Joann is giving me. So I'm drawing and she's measuring. So after we're done chatting, we kind of tell the client, all right, well, go check your email or something. This is going to take us however long it's going to take us. If it's an entire house, we'll probably come back on another day because we're brain dead.
But we have such a system down and we're so fast.
Yeah, that I'd rather just get it over with because then we can just start putting together the design proposal and moving on.
Didn't you have somebody that I wasn't there and you had somebody do it and you were like, oh no.
I think maybe I think it was my lake house. Mike was measuring for me and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it with you. Thank you for trying, honey. I love you, but I can't do this with anybody but Joann. You're too slow and you don't know what I'm saying. I mean, generally, like when we're measuring, I don't even look up from my pad of paper.
Right.
I'm just here. I know her sequence, so I'm listening and I'm writing as she's going. So we take all the notes and all the measurements and then a gazillion photographs. So that's kind of, but in terms of like your question, do you kind of get sidetracked and do you get,
Kelly gets very chatty sometimes.
I do get very chatty, but here's why. And this is the salesperson in me. I have very good sales training. When we create that rapport with our clients, we're finding out so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you like to travel?
Mm-hmm.
What were your parents like? What do you collect?
What hotels
do you like? Where do you vacation? Where did you go to school? How many, what's your dog's name? What kind of, where'd you get that dog? Just all kinds of like, I love your ring. Why is that ring? Where'd you get that ring? Oh, well, this jewelry is all, oh yeah, I've been there, and it's all this kind of stuff that just leads to us knowing that client so much better and knowing what they can tolerate or knowing what they gravitate towards and inevitably there's something like, oh my God, my sister went to Cornell. Yes. Oh my gosh. Or, there's something that hooks us together even more because remember, when this consultation is over, we still have to give them a design proposal with a big fat design fee on it, and we want them to sign it.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
we want them to like us and feel comfortable with us.
Well, and it is true because you guys know that I teach sales training to a lot of different types of professionals. And the fact of the matter is it is that asking all the questions and listening while they're talking, because these are the things that we build into all the portions of however our business is, whatever the business model is. So if you're a designer, you're probably building into your design presentation that if they love to travel to this one particular country and they go all the time, and maybe there's something you're going to build in, and maybe it's a piece of fabric that's reminiscent of that country in some way, and
Exactly.
it might be just the three of you that know that fabric means Italy to all of you, but you'll say it to that woman and she'll be like, whoa, they heard me.
Yeah.
Right?
Being intuitive is probably one of the key things. You can really you have to be able to read these people. And it's funny because sometimes we'll start out and the person is a little bit serious, and as time goes on, we can just see that they're getting
We're
more
on a
comfortable.
mission.
And by the time we leave, they're laughing and they're so comfortable. Like that, it means a lot.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody could spend an hour and a half with the two of you and not be laughing by the end of it. Let's just be serious.
We've had a few that were hard to crack, and we were on a mission to get them to frickin' relax and just let it go. It's only interior design, people.
That's so funny. I love it. So, what's really cool is you have, and it's funny because Joann, when you said, well, look, when we start out, we come in and we ask them to show us around the house and we're asking questions and we're listening, we're taking it in. That's also, it's 101 sales, right? It's 101. It's like get them talking. And then, of course, throughout the process, continuing that, making note. Here you are, you're having these conversations. Kelly's making note of all the different things. And then this efficient process for measuring. And I have to say, anybody, I know lots of our colleagues listening have only ever measured by themselves, but I have the exact experience of measuring with Kim all the time, and then the random times that I have to measure with Vin, and I'm just like the same way. I'm like, it's torture. It's like I'm like hanging from my fingernails whenever I have to measure a job with them.
It takes triple the time. Triple the time.
And it is. And the thing is, it's no reflection on the way they do it, but it's not your way. It's not your system, right? And it's so funny. And of course, with me and Vin, and I just measured a project with them not 3 weeks ago. And literally, it was 22 townhouse units. Thank God they were single floor town. So I'm calling townhouse. It's not a good. It's condo units, right? 22. And I was like, oh my God, when will this be over?
That's like us that time. We do a lot of multifamily design, and we were measuring elevators. Remember, 22 floors of elevator lobbies, and they were all a little bit different.
Just a little different.
Yeah. So you couldn't say like floors 5 through 8 are the same.
That was it. And same thing. It was like 4 different units within the 22, and just different enough each one that you had to measure each one. But and it was his project. So that's how we decide. It's like if we have to measure a job together, it's usually because of geography. Like the project is farther away, and we'll say, let's make a day trip and we'll go together and we'll measure your job. You know what I mean? Blah, 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 right? But so if it's my job, I measure, he writes. If it's his job, he measures, I write. But right? And so that's good because then I capture the measurements that I want, which might be different from his. But what's not good is then I can never read his writing. It's like, come on, dude. Like, what are you doing with this?
But a lot of people are surprised to hear that we measure right on the spot there.
Yes. Yeah, I am
but
too.
you know what? But like I said, we are walking in there assuming we have the job.
We're closing the deal from the minute and I learned that from my being a leasing consultant. From the minute that person sat in front of me, I called the apartment that we zoned into on their apartment.
Yes.
Well, your apartment has a huge flowering a gardenia that sits outside. You will love it every day when you walk in the front. Your apartment has new carpet. I mean, that's just that's just sales to me. I mean, what are we going to do? We already talked to you on the phone for an hour. You stalked us all over social media. What are we going to do?
Yeah,
Just
what
go
is
in
the
and to your
problem
house and
here?
have coffee? That's a total waste of my time. I mean, you
I
know.
love it. I love it. I think that's so great. And it is true that it was surprising to me that you take the measurements on the first consultation, but when you said it's because you do it to the level that you never have to go back to the project again, then that makes sense because there's no point in really wasting time taking nonsense measurements because that would take time. And if you're going to come back again another visit, so this is like for other designers that are listening, and it is easier to take measurements with another person. And so it
Yeah.
probably takes you less time, not only because you have a system, but because you do have two people because to measure and then rate and measure and
Well,
then rate.
it might be worth it to, bring an intern on something
Yes.
like that, because the other thing too is we work with a lot of professionals that really we don't meet people after 5 or on the weekends. So if they're going to take the time to be home to meet with us, we don't want to do that again.
Again. Yes, yes, yes.
Now, I will say, like today, we had to go back to a house up in Cartersville because it was an entire house. And it was just when we first met with the clients, they were there with their little baby, and we had talked and gotten to know each other and really talked about this house. It was under construction, and it was just going to be too much for everybody if we stayed to measure the whole house. So we went back today
Mm-hmm.
and did that on our own, and it just worked out better that way. But if we can, we'll do it. But generally, if it's a whole house, we'll do that on a separate day. But
Mm-hmm.
most of the time for us, our clients are generally asking us to do a floor at a time or
Mm.
3 or 4 rooms at a time, so it's very manageable.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
if it's new construction, we have the plans, of course, and we're always working off the blueprints, but they still have measurements missing that we need. So we
Yes.
just like to touch it and feel it ourselves.
No. And I love it. And I love the idea. If you're going to, my only thing, what I was rounding up to was if you're going to take the time to measure, then measure. And if you're not going
Yeah,
to take the time to measure, then come back and do it. Like, don't,
yeah,
the
exactly.
halfway is useless because you're going to have to spend the extra time anyway to get the final measure, right?
Yep.
And I've done the same thing when we've had a whole house. And you really have. There's some times where you just look at everybody's eyeballs are glazing over and you're like, yeah, all right, we'll come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Especially if, like, for us, we're looking ahead at like 25 or 30 windows. And here you are looking at not only the rooms, but the windows as well, you're measuring.
Hmm.
So, okay. All right. So you leave the consultation. You have had great conversation. You've listened. You've taken notes on not only the design aspirations that they have, but also their personal information, the things that you know that you're going to circle back to, make sure that they know that you heard them. You have all your final measurements, and you say to them, okay, we're going to get you, next step is we're going to get you a proposal.
Well, you know what? Let me back up for a minute, because one of the things that we do is we bring a binder that is a client binder that everybody gets, whether they do one room or a whole house, and we show them our process.
Mm.
They have tabs, and we show them, well, here's the pages where the notes and measurements are, and there's pages and pages, and we say, so this is what we're going to do right now, and this is what we're going to use. This is our Bible here for this. Then here's the section where we go ahead and show you the items on a keynote or like a PowerPoint presentation, and everything that's in there. We'll show them the sizes, the photos, and then those items then take them to a rendering. So we show them the picture of the rendering that we give them, show them how our software that we use, that's Studio Webware, that will creates the proposal and then shoots out all the orders. Then we tell them that our things go to a receiving warehouse. So we spend about 15 minutes, and we have the actual book in front of us and show them a previous client and how the process works from beginning to end. And we usually will have people, especially if they're accountants or business people, be like, wow, that's like so detailed.
Hmm.
Kelly and I were business women before we were designers. So we
Mhm.
have a lot of business background, and we're very organized. And so I think they see this book and they're like, wow, like this is a
I want
very
a book. Yeah.
well-oiled machine.
Well, and that is the truth of it, is because anytime a designer in the Facebook groups and a coaching session, whatever, anytime I see a designer lamenting that a client has pushed them back on their value, I'm just like, well, you didn't express it. You just, because what you do is so difficult and so highly detailed that if you can make it clear to a consumer what that is, how could they debate the value of it? And they might say, I understand the value, but still not going to pay the price ticket on it. Didn't realize it was that much. But that's a different story than, I don't see what would take so long to do this.
Mm-hmm. And it also shows that we have a team behind us. So it's not just us that is behind this design fee that we're about to explain to you. It's our team and everything that comes with our value. So it's all of our resources. It's all the manufacturers that we have worked so hard to have accounts with. It's our window treatment installer and our painter and our electrician and all the contractors that we have vetted so carefully that we can recommend to you. It's Lisa and Amy who are going to input these orders and expedite and follow you all the way to a T and update you all the way until install day. It's not just us doing these designs for you. So by the time you look at the design fee, it's a joke.
Right.
I mean,
right.
What you just sign here.
They know what to expect. I mean, they know just what to expect. It's all that book. I think when they see that book, another thing you can see, they're looking at it going, "Wow, yeah, this is a big deal."
Right, right.
Yeah.
This is a lot. It isn't just, hey, let me sit at a desk and she's pulling some fabrics and going to look at a picture of a sofa and say, let's do it. That is the thing. When you really are so personally clear as an interior designer of everything that goes into your process, and you combine that with the ability to express that, it is hard to ignore or hard to debate the value. It just is, right?
So to answer your question, when we leave the consultation, our goal is always to get them that design proposal within 3 days. Sometimes we'll do it that very night while we're all loving each other, while everything's fresh in our head. We just, like I said, it's all about closing that sale, and we want to start it and finish it and get it to them as fast as possible. So we will go back. We have a template that we use, and we will write down everything that we talked about. The way that we do our design proposals is the first, it depends on how big the project is, but 2 or 3 pages show the scope of work by room, and it's bullet pointed. So say we're just starting a room from scratch. We will reiterate, we are designing this space plan from beginning to end with the following components, and then list them all with the following aesthetic in mind. Repeat. So the proposal is a lot about repeating everything they said back. And we'll put notes. So family room, note, Greg's leather recliner must stay in this room. Or grandma's rocker, great grandma's rocker it must stay in the baby's room. Or, little things that they've told us that feels good when they hear it again.
Yes.
So then for us, we have always, from the beginning, from day one, which is
flat design fee.
We have a flat design fee. So we charge by room. And so that is all specified at the bottom of the contract by room. We require that our clients pay that design fee in full before we get started on any additional work past the consultation.
Love it. I love it. Now, let me ask you something about that binder. So did you say, Joann, that you're showing a past client's binder, or do you have a mock-up binder that goes out?
No, it's a real one.
It is.
It's a
and
real
you
one.
just grab somebody else's binder and you
We kind of bring the same one.
We have a few favorites. So.
Yeah, we have a couple of favorites that, where we can show where the
multitude of things.
There was this one client that wanted us to use a lot of their things, and so in the keynote presentation it says client sofa and the sizes, and that makes people feel good too. I think they like it when you. Hopefully they have a few decent things, but it shows that we are not the type that want to just chuck everything you have. That we're willing to use what you have, and we'll be very honest if we don't think it will work.
Right. It shows respect. It shows respect that you listen. Again, this is like the theme that keeps emerging, that you're listening to your clients and making sure that they are understood by you, and then you're consistently creating conversations, opportunities, presentations, all through your process that keeps reinforcing this is what we heard you to say. So it gives them lots of places to say, that's not what I meant, right?
Exactly.
And also, when we give them that scope of work, we say to them, we just want to make sure we heard you correctly. Look at all of these bullet points. Here's your chance to go ahead and add or delete. Maybe you guys have talked about it after we left and said, you know what? We decided, yeah, let's go ahead and let's
Add the powder room.
add a rug, where we thought we might want to keep our other one, or let's take off that. We don't really want to do that right now. So then once they sign that and pay, the scope of work is very clear. Like when I'm getting ready to design, I'm looking at that going, okay, this is what we need to do for this room. So the scope
Guides
of
you.
work is very, it's very clear.
Mhm.
And should anything come up later, that's not in the scope, we talk about that later. But there's so much communication that it's really hard to
But if they
mess it
do
up.
want to grow the proposal or add more, then it depends on how much it is. Sometimes we'll just charge hourly. We charge $300 an hour, or we'll create another flat fee if they're adding a lot, like a whole room or something.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I have one other question about when you leave the design, the consultation. So I love that you said, and I want to make sure I highlight it, that you said that your goal is to get them that design proposal within 3 days. And of course, real life, we're all human beings, stuff happens, but sometimes you get it done that night, as you said, but your goal is within 3 days. And that's so smart and so such a good practice, because to your point, and you said it, Kelly, they're happy then. They're in love. They're excited, right? And I just said to my salespeople on Monday, I said, when we wait a week to 10 days to get a proposal out, we've lost some momentum. But
the kid may need dental work.
Well,
and
that's what
all
I
of
was
a
just
sudden
about to
it's
say.
like,
The hot water heater could break down, and
Exactly.
and here's the thing: it's not the $500 hot water heater. It's, did it ruin the basement carpet, and now it's a $10,000 bill, but we don't have money for window treatments anymore. So I'm like, we gotta get it in. You know what I mean? So my question in that is, do you consciously, whether it's Amy or yourselves, do you consciously say, okay, so we have a design presentation on Tuesday, let's schedule office time to work on this on Wednesday because we know we need 4 hours or we need 6 hours or we need 2 days? Like, do you consciously, because in order to keep a commitment of having it done within 3 days, you have to know that you're not scheduled on back-to-back consultations, right?
That's a very good question.
Oh.
I have to be honest.
it takes priority.
Generally, design proposal writing is done in the evenings in pajamas with a glass of wine.
Okay.
Just
So you
saying.
have
Yeah.
have your way of doing it. You don't feel like,
we
okay.
just it's priority number one. If
Yeah.
we're packed for the next 2 days, that's just a nighttime thing.
This
And
has
just
to
get it done.
Yeah, it has to get done. So Kelly is the excellent writer. She's much better at writing than I am. I kind of have to have the thesaurus nearby to make sure the words sound really good. So she's really better at it than I am. And then she'll send it to me, and then I will. Oh, you know what? We can't put lamps on those nightstands because they have sconces that are going in there, or So we
Just check each
we
other.
check each other,
Right.
and so
Or,
she'll say,
I love her very much, but she's kind of a pain in the beep. I think her design fee should be a little higher.
Right.
And don't
right.
think we don't have those conversations, because we
Right,
do. Yeah.
right.
Just
Well,
being honest.
Yes, no, and that's where, we could have taken the conversation from the top on the collaboration between the two of you and the pros and the cons and the benefits of having a partner, but that one right there is that. It's that, is your gut telling you the same thing on this feeling on this client, or even just is your gut telling you the same thing on this rug in this room? Do I love this rug or am I crazy, right?
And that's another thing I think a lot of our clients see, and the joy of our partnership is they do see the banter between us, and it took me a few years to just have the confidence to say to a new client, well, let me talk out loud for a minute. What about this? Oh, no, forget it. That was a stupid idea. Okay, Joann, what do you think? Blah, 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 blah. And they watch us banter and brainstorm and create ideas in an organic way. And it's nice
Oh,
to
yeah,
have each other to do that.
yeah, we were just at a color consultation this morning. And so we were going back and forth trying to figure out this color for the ceiling. I was like, oh, I don't know. Anonymous looks kind of good. And Kelly goes, I don't know. It's got that green tint. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let's look at this one. No, that's sort of purple. And the client was like, look, she's like, I love this. You guys have really got it going on. I mean, we know the colors.
Right.
It's just we're so used to each other and doing that, but they like to watch us work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
and
we do double check each other on those design proposals, and that's why we start every consultation together, because now that we're so busy, we generally one of us takes the lead naturally on a project. If they're really big, we work on them together. Like I might do the first floor, she might do the second floor, or she does we'll split it up. But there are times when we go to an install, we do consultations and we do installs together. But there are times that I'm on an install and I have no idea
She's like, all
what
right,
I'm
tell me
doing.
what I'm supposed to do.
Joanne's telling me what to do because I didn't touch the project.
right. Okay.
And a lot of times it gets back to the rapport. It's funny. Sometimes a client will lean their personality is more towards one or the other of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so there will be the one that talks to them a little more, or Kelly is the dog lover and she'll just if she's got this rapport with people about the dogs, that's her thing. If
Right.
a client has gone to Italy recently and I can talk to them about my family being there, whatever, all right, we've already hit it off. So
Right.
it's that too.
Yes. Well, that reminds me of when I've talked to some of the designers that own bigger firms, like Lori Umansky, for example, comes to mind. And she explained how she's had like 4 or 5 lead designers in her firm, and each one has their junior and has their assistants and everything. It's like running 4 verticals, really. It's like running 4 firms.
Absolutely.
And yes, and she described that she's a rainmaker and she brings the projects in and she's on the initial visits and consultations and everything, but she will, based on all of that fact finding and rapport building, use that information to decide which team is going to get the product. Also, obviously, in conjunction with their current pipeline workload, okay? But to your point is that there is sometimes a person hits it off more with another person. And you guys, I don't even have, the question doesn't even, I'm sure, ever hang in the air like, I want this one. It's like, no, you just
No.
No.
Thank God that's never happened.
No. Mm-mm.
No, I can absolutely know that that's not a problem.
Or we have gotten in the car before and I'll look at Joann and go, she likes you way more than me.
Ah.
I think I scared her. I was too loud and obnoxious. You take her.
Or sometimes like we'll walk in and we'll knock at the door and then the person will answer and Kelly go, hey, and I'll be like, be quiet, there might be a baby sleeping.
Well, that's why there's 2 of us.
That's right. Somebody has to be loud in the room. Come on.
The yin and the yang.
From one Jersey girl to another, you understand this.
Exactly. Vin and I this morning at breakfast were having a conversation. He's like, you're yelling at me. I'm like, OMG, LuAnn is not yelling. LuAnn is passionate about this topic. Come on.
Yeah. Oh God, I get that all day. Joann has the volume control in her little fingers, and it goes. She looks at me and she's turning the volume down. I'm like, Jack, okay, I hear you. Jeez.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. So we get the design proposal out within 3 days, and we're not going to obviously go all the way through the process to reveal install, but I do want to get to design proposal presentation. So do you have a set thing, like we do design proposals in person, they come to our studio, we go to their kitchen table? How do you guys handle that?
It's a good question because we used to always do them in person.
Mhm.
And I don't know, maybe life got busier or we just
Yeah.
tried it one time. And so now we email it to them and we say, look this over. Let's schedule a call to go over, or email with questions, and we'll go through it line by line. But 9 times out of 10, we get a check in the mail and they don't call with any questions or anything.
So this is the level of your process. I mean, I've talked to more than 600 interior designers, and I don't even have to keep asking questions to know. That is because you literally have come, and every part of this, every step of the way, from Amy on the telephone to you guys in the house, and the way that you interact, and the way that you conduct yourselves, and the way that you leave with your information, and the way you put this together. That's why it is just so well done that it's. What are we talking about? Like you said, Kelly, right? Like, what are you doing? Write a check, right?
Exactly. It's
Or like they don't say like, well, what did you mean by like it? We hand it to them on a silver platter. There's really not a lot of room for questions. They may say,
we welcome them.
Yes,
We're totally
we're
happy to.
open to.
You can go over every line on every page if you want to with me, but it's up to you. But generally, they never do.
Now, so to that end, how when you say every line on every page is a design, say we were doing a first floor, one floor, is a design proposal 5 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages? I don't have a concept on that.
Most of it, really the first 2 pages are the meat of the scope of the work, and then I think it's 5 pages total, and then the 3 is just CYA stuff that if you've never worked with a designer before, you might want to read. Like for example,
you allow us to take photos in your house.
Some we don't guarantee. Everything that we select has a manufacturer warranty with it. We don't guarantee anything past that. Little things like that. Colorways and wood finishes may vary slightly. It is the nature of our business. We'll do everything we can to control that. Sometimes we can't. Things like that.
Don't be there for the install.
Right. You go over that prior to contract because that's part of your thing. You don't want them there, right?
No, they are not allowed.
Right. And by the way, I don't want to skip all the way to there, but for this one question, I will. I'm sure you've had everything from top to bottom, from, oh, I'm sure that's a joke, I really am going to be here, to I absolutely insist on being here, to I agree to not be here, and here I am when I get there. How do you handle those types of scenarios?
It's really only happened a handful of times, but they're pretty good about, like, they'll stay in the basement or they can't walk through the area. Okay. We don't really even like them in hearing distance because if we have to say, oh, I don't know if I can swear on here. Oh, whatever. Get the super glue and fix this before they get home.
These days, you got to worry about cameras in people's houses, so you can't even have conversations anymore.
Yeah, totally.
True.
I'm saying that all the time when we walk into houses, especially, when you're dealing with I was about to say when you're dealing with the upper level luxury, but now it's just any millennial on the planet knows how to wire their house. And if Vin and I are in a house together doing a project, I'd be like, okay, when we go through the store, they probably are watching us and hearing us. He's like, nobody's home. I'm like, right, man. But they are. Like, don't talk.
Yeah.
It's all honey, sweetie pie talk in front of the cameras here. Oh my goodness. So, all right. So, and of course with, with what's going on and everybody being so accustomed to, because of COVID, of the Zoom meetings and stuff, if you wanted to present via Zoom now, it doesn't even feel like, are you kidding me? You're not going to come over to my house. So there's that as an option as well. And you guys, look, you're seasoned, okay? Would you say out the gate that it makes sense to do your proposal, whether it's via Zoom or in person, a number of times until you get it down and you really are at the point that you've included everything in the proposal that doesn't have a list of questions, right?
Mm-hmm. I think for sure. For years, we did it in person. For years. Right. So I think it was just another way to show our value and our worth, our soft touch, and it was great. And I really don't even know when it changed, maybe, but
I actually think the clients appreciate it because we're not trying to take up more of their time, them having to be home and having to sit with us and do it again. People are just kind of so used to seeing things via email. And like we said, we'll set aside some time for questions. They feel comfortable talking to us at this point because we've spent a couple hours with them, but there are not really a lot of questions.
And keep in mind, we don't see clients after 5 o'clock or on weekends. So if they've already taken time out of their busy day to see us during work hours, they kind of don't want to do it again.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I think that, having been through, we do the same thing at WindowWorks. Of course, we're not quoting full rooms, but we can quote a $50,000-$60,000 window treatment project easily. And we do send it by email as well. And I do think there is a connection to having done so many that you know what the questions are going to be. So even if it's just over the years, oh wait, they always the last 5 people asked that, so include that information, right? Like just include.
Yeah.
And so you just keep getting a more robust process and system that it becomes just simply, are we going with this firm or not, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. Very exciting. And I have to say, before I let you go, and I appreciate your walking us through that, because we kind of gloss over it a lot of times. And I don't remember, I think the last time we might have really kind of picked it apart to that level was the episode with Claire Jefford. And we kind of did the same thing. But that's almost, I think, a year ago already.
But you know what, LuAnn? I'm wondering, are they talking about these things to interior design students?
I don't think so. That's the problem, right?
There needs to be, I mean, this is the meat of it. There needs to be this kind of thing, because I think when these students get out of school, they don't really know. There should be a whole year on the business part of it.
Oh,
quite honestly.
Believe me, I'm right there. And the only thing it would do is put my podcast out of business. So you might, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just go to the School of LuAnn and you'll be okay.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but we're opening Lu University in February.
Right.
Yeah. And so we're going to really have live instruction on all of this aspect that you don't get in design school. That's exactly what we're going to do. So looking forward to that.
We could even have a total part 2 on, once the clients get that design proposal and put the check in the mail, that secures their spot in our queue, which is another sense of urgency / closing tool. And then once they're in the queue, then we promise, it depends on the size of the house and how long the project is. If it's just a first floor, say it's 4 rooms, then we will get all of that designing and rendering done generally within 3 weeks. So because, they've got another 8 to 12 before product comes in. So, the process is inherently quite customized and quite long. So we want to turn around those designs fairly quickly.
Yeah, no,
So
I love
that's
it.
kind
I
of
love
what
that
comes
you're
next.
so organized. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. But there is one question I want to ask you guys before I let you go. I don't remember if I learned it, and maybe I did. It might have been after my 4th or 5th glass of Pinot Noir in the Napa Valley. How did you guys meet? Because you are such dynamic duo doesn't begin to describe. You are so yin and yang. You're so copacetic. You really do complement each other, and the respect that you have for each other, the love and the care that you have for each other is so evident. And that's a rare thing to find and to be able to have in a business partner, because it's tough to run a business. But how did you come together to begin with?
We met on Match.com.
She has such a sexy radio voice. Mine is so obnoxious. We met on Match.com.
God, you guys are nuts.
Well, if you listen to episode 1 of our podcast, you would learn all about that. But
okay. Well, we
worked at a design showroom together.
Okay.
I had just come off a 13-year career in property management and had gone back to school for design right after 9/11, and Joann had been there for 10 million years.
13 years.
13 years. And she did all the merchandising and buying, and I just thought she was the cat's meow. And we worked together for 4 years at that, didn't become friends for probably the first year or 2. And finally, after working on a show house together on behalf of the showroom, we looked at each other and we were like, let's move on. Come on, let's go. We got this.
Yeah.
Like, I like you. You like me. We work the same. Let's do this. And we literally hung a shingle the next week. Yeah.
And that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I mean, and you know why? Not for like, oh, because you're crazy, but because you're smart. Because you really, like you said in the beginning, Joann, you were talking about how you both come from a business background. So when you say to each other, we can do this, you knew that you could, right? You just
And
knew that you could.
we're both very strong, confident people. It wasn't like, me like hiding behind her to go meet somebody. We're not like that. But it's just that we're really powerful together.
Yes.
Well, and I will say that, and I think this is great for listeners because I remember this vividly. My friend Roxanne saying to me when I very first changed careers and went back to school, I created an office at home. I set up a business line. I bought business cards. I set up a fax machine. She was like, "But you're acting like like you're doing this. Like like you just went all balls in." I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean,
I am doing
am,
this.
and I'm gonna do this, and yeah." And she was like, but you, it's like and I'm like, "Well, I don't have a choice really because I got to pay the bills. But I do appreciate that you've noticed that I've jumped in. And I think a lot of people, after COVID and we've had a lot of time to think about our lives and where we're going with careers and where we're not going with careers. And I think it's a lesson to be learned that, sometimes you just got to jump.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's so true. And you just, we've said it 1,000 times on the show. If you're in business, be in business. If you're having a hobby, then go have fun. But if you're in business, yes, you need a business bank account. You need business cards. You need a business telephone. Like you need
Yeah.
the businessy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they cost money. And so but you got to suck it up.
And you walk into the client's house like they're going to be your client.
That's right. That's right. Well, you guys, listen, you have something very special, each of you as individuals, in that confidence and that superstar power that it lives in each of you. And then together, as you said, when you combine it, it's even more powerful. And it's something that if someone is listening, is not feeling it, it comes in the process. It comes in knowing that what you're doing and how you present it is right and works, and you can execute it. And when you really know that, then all of this that you hear from Kelly and Joann, that's where that magic starts to swirl around, right?
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think as a consumer, if I have somebody coming to me, whether they're trying to sell me a roof or whatever, if they are confident and if they showed me that binder and they whatever, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like I have the confidence they're going to do it.
Oh my goodness, outstanding! I love it. Well, you ladies are just I just love you guys. You're just so much fun, and I just appreciate you as human beings. And thank you for coming on the show and sharing such a detailed process from to how to onboard a client. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
No, we think you are amazing. So it's an honor for us to be here. Really. Seriously.
Thank you. I mean, it's hard for me to express how impressed I am by this process that Joann and Kelly have in their business. From the initial call to the proposal, every detail is so planned out and carefully perfected, to the point that they know exactly what to do to lead their clients to sending the check and getting the project started. When they talk about it, it almost sounds easy. But that's only because they have worked very hard to perfect this system, relying on their strengths and the strengths of their team, and making sure that they consider both their needs and their clients' needs every step of the way. The first touch point for their clients is their office manager, Amy, who greets potential clients warmly, and she qualifies them through a genuine conversation. Hearing them talk about how much trust they have in Amy to the point where they believe she does this even better than them, that's pretty funny, right? But it also emphasizes how important it is to have good people on your team, okay? More so to have people that are solid, that listen and understand and grow as they work with you to the point that they know your business almost as good as you do. It is just so valuable to have someone like this on your team. Now, what about the intricacies of the consultation? They have this system down perfectly perfectly too. So much so that they go into the consultation with confidence, the confidence that they actually measure everything right there on the spot. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And how about that they're so organized that they don't even go back to the house until install day? That's pretty mind-blowing, right? I mean, but when you listen to them, it makes sense. They have what have they, like, they've cut out, right? They've cut out all that wasted time for you, yourself, your business, your team, and for their clients too, your clients too. I mean, it's pretty, it's amazing. That's all I can say. But that does tell you how buttoned down their system is. Okay. I mean, and even the system for measuring, like Joann and Kelly have, so that you have done it that well that you don't have to go back. And, I've taken my share of measurements over the years. And of course, I have perfected my system in order to hopefully prevent having to go back, which I would say is the case most of the time. But I'm measuring the windows only. I mean, you guys and these ladies are measuring the entire room. It's crazy. Anyway. One of the biggest takeaways from this conversation is that client binder, right? They actually bring it to every consultation, a binder from a past client. And how impressive is this? It's a great idea for a lot of reasons. At first, it just shows how professional you are. That if you are a potential client and you're looking through this and seeing the detailed breakdown with photos and renderings and each step laid out, I mean, it really, really does instill that confidence that, oh, these people know what they're doing, right? And it also answers the questions that clients could potentially have at that moment, right? Because it just says, oh, this is what's next. It's this, then it's this, and it's this. We're not going to guess what's next. You're not going to figure it out each week. You, as the design professional, already know, okay? And I love that all of this results in less wasted time for Joann and Kelly because they don't have to have, callbacks, go backs, all of that, plus tons of phone calls and questions from the client saying, what's next? When am I going to hear from you? Very efficient, very professional, and very smart. All right, hashtag 2 smart ladies for sure. Now, maybe you don't have a binder, but you need to have something in place, okay? Even if it's just a script that you say that communicates the next steps to your clients so that they can understand the process, all right? And I also love that they pointed out that you have to make a point to ask questions and build rapport with the client during the consultation, right? You never know what little detail you can pull back into your proposal. A rug that represents a trip that the client took, a piece of fabric that you can relate to something they told you. It's these details that impress clients. It makes you stand out, and it shows them that you were listening to them and that you actually cared about what they told you, right? And I guess, honestly, that's the overall theme from today's conversation, listening. It's about listening to your clients, hearing and understanding what they told you, clarifying if it's necessary, and communicating back to them in a way that shows that you do value them, understand them, and that you are ready and able and dedicated to creating a space that aligns with their personality and their vision and their desires, right? Now, Joann and Kelly are clearly successful for many, many reasons, all right? They have smoothed out and perfected every step of their process, not just this introductory process. And that communication and that level of listening adds to their secret sauce. This is what keeps their clients happy. This is what keeps bringing them referrals. And this is what creates their success. And quite honestly, it's also what makes them so wonderful to have as friends. Now, if you are feeling a little overwhelmed by all of the amazing takeaways from this conversation today, we have put together a goodie for you about Joann and Kelly's consultation process with reminders about what makes their consultation so smooth and successful. You can get that at LuAnnNigara.com/goodies. And if you've already signed up for a goodie, you can just go to your portal. It will have been uploaded to the portal. All right? Now, and if you're thinking, I need to hear more from Joann and Kelly, I understand, right? From my first conversation with them, I felt exactly the same way. So I encourage you to go over and listen to their podcast, Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. It's absolutely worth listening to. And also, Joann and Kelly have a special offer for you. If you have any specific questions for them and want to get into their amazing genius, you can actually book a consultation with them by going to Kandrac-Kole/shop and then select Pick Our Brain, okay? And you can sign up for a Pick Your Brain session with Joann and Kelly. Pretty amazing, all right? So that's KANDRAC-KOLE.com/shop. All right. It'll probably be the best couple of few $100s you've invested in a long time. I guarantee it. Now, before we end today, I just want to remind you of our show sponsor, Kravet. Yeah. Please sign up for your trade account at Kravet.com. I have to say, during the pandemic, it's been really terrific to be able to walk into my showroom, look over at my Kravet line of fabrics, and look for the books that are marked guaranteed in stock. Right. With every single person and their brother in our industry with back orders and delays, I always have been going to Kravet lately. That's the thing, because they have the guaranteed in-stock books, right? Hundreds of fabrics guaranteed in stock. I just walk over, I breathe a sigh of relief, and I select the fabric that we need for the project. Open your trade account today at Kravet.com. All right. Joann and Kelly were full of so much wisdom that you can apply to your business. I know it, right? And if you need a little bit more wisdom, and you're not going to want to then miss the third book, which is coming out just around the corner, A Well-Designed Business, The Power Talk Friday Experts, Volume 2. All right? Please join us for the book launch. I've been talking a lot about it lately. It's going to be so much fun. December 10th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2020. It's going to be me, the 9 co-authors, and you. Pour yourself a glass of wine. Do whatever you want, but join us an hour. We're just going to have some fun. I'm going to ask them some questions, get them laughing, get them going, and you can be there too. And you can put your questions in the chat and talk with these super powerhouse ladies. Okay, so to sign up and join with us, go to LuAnnNigara.com/launch, and when we've got the Zoom link ready, we will send you an email with your Zoom link. Okay, and a little extra incentive. If you're present with us for the party, we are going to be giving away tickets. We're going to be giving away tickets and goodies for LuAnn Nigara Live, which is coming in February 2021. But you have to be present. You have to be with us. Okay? So, all right. I don't know what else to say. You know, the bottom line is that Joann and Kelly didn't get to where they are by accident. All right? And I know that some of you, maybe you, are feeling a little frustrated because your business isn't quite where you want it to be yet. But you know what? Do the hard work. Show up. You can do it. It all comes down to the decision. Do you listen to this show and take some action and do some of the things that Joann and Kelly have done that have really created their success? Or do you just listen and then go on and do things as you always have? Okay? It comes down to your decision. That's the difference. It always comes down to deciding to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at LuAnnNigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.